At 3 in the morning, 17 sheep lie dead, throats torn, bodies mangled, not for food, but as victims of what scientists call surplus killing. In Minnesota alone, over 3,000 wolves roam farmland. In Texas, 2 million wild boars tear apart crops and threaten families. Hunters aren't fighting for sport. They're battling to survive an invasion costing billions, splintering communities, and raising impossible questions. What does it take to defend a way of life when nature fights back harder than ever? Tom Henderson stands in the frozen pasture, boots sinking into blood-soaked snow. He doesn't speak at first. The only sound is the wind rattling the barn door and the faint, desperate bleating of the sheep that survived. 17 animals lie scattered across the field, throats torn, bodies left untouched. Not a single one eaten, just killed. This is what biologists call surplus killing, when wolves take more than they need, driven by instinct, not hunger. Tom is 62, fourth generation on this land. He raised each lamb by hand, bottle-fed the weakest through blizzards and droughts. Now he counts the bodies by flashlight, forcing himself to look at every wound. The math is brutal. 17 sheep gone means $40,000 lost in a single night. For a family farm, that's a year's profit erased before sunrise. But the loss isn't just numbers on a ledger. It's the empty stalls, the silence where there should be life, the sense that something wild and unstoppable has broken through every fence he's ever built. He calls the state to report the attack. Officials arrive at dawn, measuring bite marks, taking photos, logging another incident in the ledger of rural disaster. They confirm what Tom already knows: wolves. The tracks are clear, the pattern unmistakable. No coyote or stray dog does this kind of damage, this fast, with this much force. Wolves can crush bone with a bite measuring up to 1,500 pounds per square inch. They hunt in packs, working together in silence, covering miles in darkness. By the time Tom reached the pasture, the wolves were already gone, vanishing into the woods as if they'd never been there at all. Tom's hands shake as he tries to explain the loss. "My grandfather built this farm with his bare hands," he says, voice breaking. "And now I'm watching it die, one night at a time." For people like Tom, the threat isn't abstract. It's not a debate or a headline. It's the difference between surviving another season or losing everything built over generations. When the sun rises, Tom drags the bodies away, repairs the fence again, and waits for night to fall. Because in places like this, the wolves always come back. Minnesota's wolves population stands at around 3,000, the highest in the lower 48. These aren't scattered loners, they're organized packs, each with its own territory, hierarchy, and hunting patterns. A single pack can range across hundreds of square miles, slipping through forests and farmland, always just out of sight. Their presence is marked not by sightings, but by aftermath, missing calves, empty pastures, and the silent evidence left behind in snow and mud. In Roseau County, 70 sheep were killed in a single night, bodies strewn across a field, throats punctured, untouched by scavengers. DNA confirmed it was wolves, not coyotes or feral dogs. State officials measured bite marks up to 1.5 inches wide, consistent with a jaw force of 1,500 pounds per square inch. That's enough to crush a deer's femur or snap a sheep's spine in an instant. These are not random acts. Wolves hunt with precision, communicating silently, circling prey, and striking as a coordinated unit. Their tactics have evolved over thousands of years, honed by necessity and survival. Wolves can travel 30 miles in a night, crossing highways, rivers, and fences with ease. They adapt quickly, learning to avoid traps and outsmart deterrents. Packs have been known to test electric fences, searching for weak spots, and will target the same farm again and again if they find success. For ranchers, the threat is never confined to a single event. It's a pattern, repeating across counties and seasons, leaving families in a constant state of vigilance. Official records show the scale: over 3,000 wolves in Minnesota, more than 1,200 in Idaho, and packs expanding into new territories every year. In the worst cases, surplus killing leaves dozens of animals dead, far beyond what a pack could possibly eat. These attacks aren't isolated. They're part of a wider struggle as wolves reclaim ground lost over a century of persecution. The numbers make it clear what happened to Tom Henderson is not rare, and it's not over. Across the North, the question is no longer whether wolves will come, but how communities will respond when they do. Ranger Cole steps out of his truck and scans the Texas horizon. The ground looks plowed, but this isn't farm work. It's wild hogs. Every night, thousands of feral swine root through fields, tearing up crops, breaking irrigation lines, and leaving deep trenches across the landscape. Texas now holds more than 2 million of these animals, and their numbers only climb. A female hog can breed at 6 months old. By the time she's a year, she's already had her first litter, sometimes as many as 12 piglets. And she isn't slowing down. 2 litters a year, every year, with almost every piglet surviving thanks to mild winters and abundant food. One sow in just 5 years can be the matriarch of a family tree with more than 100 descendants. Multiply that by 1 million, and the math becomes staggering. Cole has watched entire fields vanish overnight. Corn flattened, soybeans uprooted, fences twisted and mangled. The hogs move in packs, sometimes dozens strong, and they're smart. They learn to avoid traps, circle back when hunters leave, and slip through holes in the fence no one saw coming. He's seen a 400-pound boar run through barbed wire like it was string, scattering cattle and leaving chaos behind. The spread isn't slowing. Hogs are now reported in more than 35 states, pushing north and east, adapting to cold, finding new food sources. Biologists track their advance by helicopter, spotting fresh wallows and muddy trails in places that never had wild pigs before. With every new litter, the challenge grows. Cole radios his team. Another night, another hunt, but the tide keeps rising. No matter how many they take, the numbers only seem to swell. For every hog brought down, a dozen more are born. The cycle is relentless, and the fight is nowhere near finished. Ranger Cole parks his truck at the edge of a ruined cornfield. The ground is chewed to mud, stalks flattened, irrigation pipes ripped apart. This isn't just a bad night, it's a $2.5 billion crisis for Texas farmers every year. Wild hogs tear through crops, destroy fences, and contaminate water, leaving families teetering on the edge of bankruptcy. For many, it's not a question of profit, but survival. That's why the Hog Hunt Championship was born. Each year, 3,500 hunters from across the state sign up. The rules are strict: no shooting pregnant sows or piglets, no waste. Teams hunt in winter and summer, 2 weeks at a time, moving through fields with thermal scopes and radios, pushing for numbers that seem impossible. Some days, a single team will bring down 50, 100, even 150 hogs. The reigning champion last season tagged 200 in just 2 weeks, earning a $10,000 prize. But for most hunters, the reward is knowing their neighbors' fields might survive another year. Cole leads his crew through the dark, scanning for heat signatures. They move with military precision, covering miles in a single night. The Remington 700 is standard issue, reliable, accurate, and powerful enough to drop a 400-pound boar before it can charge. Every shot counts. There's no room for mistakes when the stakes are this high. The hunt has become an industry of its own. Outfitters, guides, gear suppliers all see business spike during championship weeks. Restaurants fill with hunters swapping stories. Local economies feel the impact, with more than $50 million flowing through rural towns each year. But beneath the competition, there's a grim sense of duty. No matter how many hogs are taken, their numbers keep climbing. Hunters aren't chasing trophies, they're fighting to hold the line against an invasion that threatens to wipe out generations of hard work. Night hunting for wolves in the northern states is a test of both patience and precision. The gear has evolved far beyond simple rifles and flashlights. Hunters now rely on thermal imaging scopes that read heat signatures against the cold ground, revealing the outline of a wolf moving through darkness hundreds of yards away. Infrared optics and red-filtered lights help spot movement without alerting the animals. Elevated stands are set up along known trails, giving hunters a vantage point to scan for the slightest sign of motion. Permits are not just paperwork, they're the gatekeepers of this entire system. In Idaho, over 180,000 permits were issued last year, but the actual number of wolves harvested is a fraction of that. Wolves are wary, detecting human scent from up to a mile away. Even with the latest technology, success isn't guaranteed. Lieutenant Mara Klein of Idaho Fish and Game describes the process as an engineering challenge. We track pack patterns, analyze attack sites, and set up in areas where livestock losses are highest. Every hunt is data-driven. The goal is to intercept wolves before they hit another herd. Nighttime hunts have proven twice as effective as daytime efforts. In Montana, 60% of last year's wolf harvest came after sunset. Hunters use electronic collars that mimic distress cries, sometimes even wolf pups, to draw packs within range. The preferred calibers, .308 Winchester and .30-06 Springfield, are chosen for accuracy and stopping power. Each shot is measured with strict rules on target identification and reporting. This isn't about sport. It's about using every tool available to tip the odds back in favor of families who can't afford another night like Tom Henderson's. During hunting season, small towns in wolf and hog country come alive in ways that go far beyond the fields and forests. In northern Minnesota, the local motel books up months in advance. Diners serve hot coffee and eggs from dawn until midnight, their booths crowded with hunters swapping stories and planning the next day's strategy. Hardware stores sell out of ammunition, thermal scopes, and insulated boots. In these communities, hunting isn't just a pastime, it's a lifeline. The economic ripple starts with the hunters themselves, but it doesn't end there. In Idaho, the sale of 180,000 wolf hunting permits last year brought millions directly into state coffers. Local guides, outfitters, and gear shops see their busiest months during the fall and winter seasons. For every successful hunt, there is a chain of spending that supports mechanics, gas stations, and even local schools through sales tax and donations. In Texas, the wild hog crisis has fueled a hunting economy worth over $50 million each year. Outfitters run guided hunts, ranchers lease land, and processing plants turn wild pork into sausage and jerky. The championship events alone draw thousands of visitors, filling hotels and restaurants in towns that otherwise struggle to keep their doors open. For many rural families, this seasonal surge keeps the lights on through lean months. This isn't just about dollars and cents. It's about a way of life where hunting means jobs, stability, and a future for the next generation. In places where agriculture hangs by a thread, the economic boost from hunting is the difference between boarded windows and bustling main streets. Conservation advocates argue that there's more at stake than livestock and crops. They point to Yellowstone, where wolf reintroduction in 1995 set off a chain reaction. Elk herds moved differently. Overgrazed valleys recovered. Beaver and songbird numbers bounced back. For them, wolves are more than predators. they're architects of wild places. Instead of rifles and traps, these groups push for non-lethal tools: electric fencing, flattery lines, bright strips of fabric that flutter in the wind, motion-triggered lights, and livestock guardian dogs. In Idaho, a rancher who installed triple-layered electric flattery and brought in Anatolian shepherds saw sheep losses drop from 15 a night to just 2 in a year. But even the best deterrents come with limits. Wolves learn, adapt, and after a few months the packs often return, testing the fence, finding a gap, sometimes killing the very dogs meant to guard the flock. The costs climb quickly: $10,000 for fencing that might only work one season. Critics of hunting say the real answer lies in coexistence, not culling. They warn that removing too many wolves risks unraveling the ecological gains of the past 30 years. For these advocates, every bullet fired is a step backward from balance. Across the country, lawmakers gather in state houses, studying maps that change every year. Feral hogs now root through farmland in 37 states, carving new scars into the land from California to the Carolinas. Biologists warn that without stronger action, USDA models predict up to 40% more hog-related conflicts by 2030. Wolves expand their range as well, pushing into new counties, their packs tracked by satellite collars and worried ranchers. In the northern Rockies, wolf depredations have climbed nearly 20% in just 3 years. Montana and Idaho raise hunting quotas, while Texas channels $15 million into Operation Hog, funding drones, research, and landowner reimbursements. Yet the animals adapt, finding gaps in every strategy, their numbers still rising. On the ground, families face choices that grow harder each season. Should they invest in new deterrents, trust the next legislative fix, or double down on the hunt? Every policy, every dollar, draws a line in the sand between wild and tame, protection and profit, survival and stewardship. The future isn't waiting. It's arriving, one night, one field, one lost animal at a time. Right now, wild boar populations rise by over 20% each year, and wolf territories keep expanding. The choices made on rural land shape food security, ecosystems, and national policy for all Americans. When survival and stewardship collide, compromise isn't just philosophy, it's necessity. In this conflict, every decision echoes far beyond the fields. Where do you stand? Share your perspective in the comments below.